Kutoka vijijini, mijini hadi jijini. Hii ni Sound Kanti Talk Live.
Good day, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for making time to join us. This is Sound Candy Talk, open forum political discussion show, the show that gives you an opportunity to air what you feel and think about the latest development on our political front. Well, we start our conversation tonight on the sentiments orders given by the internal security CS Kipchumba Murkomen on all public officers. They are now given a commandment: thou shalt not speak against William Ruto government, or else you face a sack. Now, it has been long since we had this kind of administrative orders as far as public officers are concerned. To the best of my memory, these were orders from above during the Daniel Toroitich Arap Moi's government in the 80s and in the 90s. Well, the more things change, the more they remain the same. I think we are back already into that place. And so all public officers are forbidden from speaking ill of the government, regardless of how the government looks, regardless of how the government performs. As a public officer, that includes the police, the chiefs, I think the civil servants are all in that same bandwagon where they must see no evil, say no evil against the government, or else they'll be fired. Now, I find this to be very fascinating, but I invite your input even as we start the conversation. It is interesting that Murkomen, a champion of, I can't call him a champion of freedom, but there was a time he cried in the Senate and, looking for the liberties and the freedoms of public officers and, people that are serving in different capacities within the Uhuru government. And now the tables have turned, and it appears, since the public has refused to buy into the fear and threats of the William Ruto administration, is now reverting to public servants. And this also paints the picture of the usual, unconstitutional operations where we turn public officers to be either party agents or propagators of political persuasions, other than standing up for the country and standing up for Kenya and its constitution. Just like we have turned the police force or the police service to be an extension of the executive. We have turned the KDF, the Kenya Defense Forces, to be an extension of the executive, which does not tally with the constitutional provision. We need to have, and we have had this conversation here, some time back on the issue of separation of power and separation of state from government. This merger of state and government, that the head of state is the same as the head of government, has created a setting that is not easy to separate different institutions that are supposed to be serving the interest of the country. And now, instead of them serving the interest of the country, they are now serving the interest of an individual or the interest of a political party that is in power. Now, this is not sitting well with Kenyans, and we will be diving deep into understanding what is Murkomen up to. But what we can smell from afar, this is preparation for 2027. And you remember, those of you that grew up during the Moi era, where the provincial administration, which is in effect right now, and in fact is the #1 responsibility of Murkomen, to rally together chiefs, empower chiefs, and arm them. Remember, there is a suggestion of chiefs applying for firearms, and they be given those firearms. It appears from afar that the same way Moi used to rig himself into office using the provincial administration, that is the same script that is being played right now. And after they have been trained, they have been, instructed on what to do, and now they are being given threats so that they can obey orders from above. This also should speak to all of you that seek to get to understand one may be the reason why Uhuru Kenyatta was not able to master and marshal support for Raila Odinga during the elections is probably he did not rally behind himself this provincial administration. And so it appears William Ruto is not leaving anything to chance. He wants all the chiefs, all the DOs, all the, what are they called, county commissioners, and that entire structure to be right behind him, and not just to be behind him, but to be taking orders from him and effect them immediately. This, in my opinion, is something that Kenyans should not brush off or play games with it. Let's look into this even as we start the conversation. We are live on TikTok. We are live on YouTube, Sound Candy Talk Live, as well as Facebook page, Sound Candy Talk. If you're looking for us, that is where to find us. And please, the moment you find us, share out the link, get more people to join and be part of the great conversation right here as we dive and dissect the intentions, the hidden and said whatever realities behind statements. Now, that's just a forerunner. There is the police recruitment that is underway, being anticipated, and there seems to be a tussle between the National Policing or whatever commission and then the other structures of the police administration, especially on the issue of pay. We'll also be looking into that particular story. But another good one on politics is Natembeya-Wamalwa have a rift over the DAP-K party. Hey, that one is also something that you can't ignore. And of course, I could say that we saw this coming. Those of us that have an understanding of Luya politics and how we pull together while we are pulling apart. So will the opposition hold together, or this is the beginning of this disintegration of the so-called unity of the opposition? Let's keep talking. Thank you so much. The link to you need to get into the studio is already in the comment section. Please come in and let us look at this keenly as we analyze. Let's begin with that Murkomen story as he gives those orders. And then we will be breaking them down as we make sense of the same. Here we go.
Kuna chief or assistant chief or a police officer atapatikana akiongea mambo against the government of the day. Hakuna. It is illegal, it's unconstitutional. Tukipata police officer anasema anatusi rais, anaimba slogans ya siasa, ati police officer bado anataka kuserve the government of the day and the country of the day, na anaongea huko ati ako na political right, anaita President Kasongo, ama anaimba vitu ya one term, that police officer or a public servant should be fired immediately. And I'm not saying because of this government, even the previous government and the government to come. Hii government ikiondoka na ingine ikuje, lazima kama wewe uli choose to serve in public service, you must respect the government that will come. Utapika kura penye utapigia, na hakuna hata mtu atakuuliza, but you cannot participate in campaigns and you cannot participate in sloganeering. Yours is to understand government of the day, policy of the day, and implementation of that policy.
Okay, there you have it. You either rally behind the government or you rally behind the government all the way. All public officers have no permission to air their political persuasions or their political views. Now, I find this to be a very gray area that we will need to break down and be able to make sense of the same. Where are the boundaries? Where do we exercise our personal individual rights? And of course, bill as provided in the Bill of Rights, as well as be public servants. Must all public servants be there to be seen and not to be heard? Must public servants be there to receive orders and not question those orders? And this is coming up in the backdrop of many excesses that have been seen of late, especially with the police operatives, where orders from above have resulted into loss of lives and unnecessarily for that matter. And so is Murkomen right in his demand that all public officers who have any political opinion that they air out, especially against the government, should be fired? Is that how we're going to make, is that how it should be, or what is it? And I would invite as many of us to give their views on the same. Do you support the Murkomen sentiments that all public officers should not in any way participate into the political discourse of the day, especially if that political discourse is speaking against the government? Now, I believe that if you are a government official, you know, there are demarcations, and being forbidden from saying one term or saying Kasongo or singing the Kasongo song, I don't know, but I want you to help me. Will that stop dissenting voices? Will that stop, Kenyans from speaking or voting against the government? What is Murkomen achieving with this? Where is he going with this? Is it that he wants to get all public officers under his ambit so that he can command them on how to vote, where to vote, and how to secure the votes without being questioned and without, is this an intimidation order, or it is a valid way of rallying the public officers to do their job? Is it the job of public officers to defend government policies and, of course, propagate what the government is doing, regardless of how the government appears and of course on how much the government is adhering to the constitution and rule of law? Is there no room for questioning? Is there no room for voicing out what you feel and think that this is not in order? Let me know in the comments there, especially those of you on TikTok, and then the rest of us on YouTube and Facebook. I would love us to participate fully into the show. So usitazame kipindi peke yako, jitahidi kukaribisha mtu na tumakinike tu wote pamoja tunapoangazia masuala haya. Hivi ndivyo ama sivyo? Ningependa tuangazie suala hili kwa kina na tuelewanwe katika madai haya yote. Mzee wetu Jakindu Bey amekuwa mstari wa mbele kutukumbusha kila mara kusema kwamba kile kinachoendelea katika nchi hii hata baada ya uhuru ni ukoloni tu. Yani kama vile mkoloni alikuwa anafanya mambo ya kukandamiza wananchi, kudunisha wananchi na kuwaweka chini ya ama kuwanyanyasa, vivyo hivyo ndivyo serikali zote ambazo zimekuwepo zimeendelea kufanya. Na mimi nikachagua kwa angazia suala hili la Murkomen kwamba ni hiyo ukoloni mamboleo. Yani ukoloni mamboleo, uruhusiwi kufikiria, uruhusiwi kusema lolote. Kama utasema, sema kile rais amesema. Kama utasema, sema kile serikali imesema. Kama utasema, sema kile ambacho serikali inafanya. Usikosoe serikali, usiseme lolote kinyume na serikali. Orders from above. Hivi ndivyo mambo yalikuwa enzi ya Moi, okay? Ambako kijiji chote, kila sehemu ya nchi hii ilikuwa inaimba nyayo, okay? Tingiza nyayo. Na ukikwenda kinyume na nyayo utatembelewa. Ukitembelewa utakunjwa. Mpaka time ile utakubali kwamba nyayo ndio nyayo na Kenya ni nyayo na nyayo ni Kenya. Haya, sasa tunaona nyayo imerejea kupitia nani? Serikali ya William Ruto na mouthpiece yake inaitwa Murkomen. Is it in order for public officers not to critique the government they are serving? Now, I also want to remind us that when William Ruto was deputy president to Uhuru Kenyatta, and they fell out, what did William Ruto do? Did William Ruto continue propagating the policies of the Jubilee government, or did he turn into a critic of the same government? You know, one thing that I really would want to emphasize is, as Kenyans, we're very quick to forget. We don't enjoy joining the dots and being able to uphold historical realities, especially on political decisions. Who was the greatest critic of the Uhuru Kenyatta administration, especially in the second term? William Ruto. He led a strong campaign even against the BBI and succeeded to shoot down the BBI through the courts against the government then. So, if it was okay then, is it okay now? If it wasn't okay then, why was it done by the number 2 then, who is now the number 1 now? If it was okay to critic Uhuru Kenyatta, speak ill of Uhuru Kenyatta, say all manner of things, and they are very, very, dire things that were spoken against, of course, Uhuru Kenyatta by Ruto, then as deputy president. So, where do we toe the line? Wow, I mean, tunaendeleaje? Okay, ama itakuwa kwamba ikifika hapa tubadilishe, tukubali hili, ikifika hapa tukatae kwa sababu hili alikubaliani na vile tunavyopenda. Let me hear and see your givings on the same. Karibu kwa show tafadhali, na kuomba wote ambao mnajumuika nasi, endelea kukaribisha mtu tukamakinike katika mambo haya. Tutakwenda moja kwa moja kwa lile suala la police recruitment. There has been a suggestion that the police recruitment process goes digital, and all interested parties to make application online. But we seem to be having that aspect of what Jesus said, no man having taken the old wine straight away desires the new, for he says the old is better. And so there is a tussle between those who want recruitment done the old way, and then there are those who are advocating for everything to be online. And that has also led the National Police Commission to do what they are calling public participation. And in the public participation, they have received different sentiments on the same. And I would just love us to look into that and judge who is who where. And the reason behind going online in the recruitment process, or doing it physically the way it has been done traditionally. Where are we in the where are we safe in ensuring that the right thing will be done? And also the reason being given for going digital or transacting online is the aspect of being able to arrest the corruption that is involved into this recruitment process. Now, that's one place where I don't find it very, convincing that you can control corruption or be able to arrest corruption by changing the process of recruitment. To me, the corruption and the state of corruption in this country, changing of system or changing of approach may not help much. There is a reason why I'm saying that, and one of it is that corruption is a crime against the law as it is now in the Constitution and otherwise. And so if there is corruption, we should not deal with corruption in the aspect of doing a government service or wanting to change the operation of the operatives of a government service to control or be able to stamp authority against corruption. Let corruption cases be dealt as corruption cases, and not attaching corruption to police recruitment, attaching corruption to the army recruitment, attaching corruption to civil servants' employment. And so you say you want to control corruption in the civil servants, and you want now to either supervise the recruitment so that there is no corruption. To me, it is neither here or there, because if there is corruption involved in the recruitment, and it is not a crime until it's been committed. It's not a crime until it's committed. And so you're preventing people from committing crime in the pretext that you are fighting corruption. I leave that to you, but I would love to see how much are we fighting corruption by trying to micromanage the processes. We should just make the process transparent, and any violation of the same should be faced with required punishment, so that whoever attempts to violate stipulated processes of getting the police officers, the army officers, or the public servants faces the music. But this one of, going to stand behind the recruiting officers and ensure that they are not getting bribes or things like that is an employment that is unnecessary, in my opinion. We just need to streamline and get things done the right way, so that whoever violates, he faces the music. But now we are hiring two. It's like you hire wherever we call them what, domestic servants. Okay, then that domestic servant demands that for her, or to do what she's supposed to do, we should hire for her somebody to watch her, and then that somebody to watch her, we need to hire another person to watch him as he watches her do the work. So we have three people doing the same thing. All of it because we don't want to face or rather take the responsibility of securing the country and ensuring that it operates within the stipulated ways of doing things. So to me, the attempt to try and pretend to be fighting corruption by all those shifting from digital, or from analog to digital, online, offline, and all that is still the same old games of trying to organize and see to it that the corrupt money goes to the required place in good time without being detected. That is what I can read in all this. But let's listen out to this public participation and the police recruitment process.
The National Police Service Commission, that's the NPSC, will adopt technology in the upcoming police recruitment process to curb corruption and enhance transparency. While collecting views during public participation forum at the Kenyatta International Convention Center, the Commission assured Kenyans of a fair and credible exercise aimed at recruiting 10,000 police constables. Francis Ode with the details.
They arrived armed with a draft, National Police Service Commission Recruitment and Appointment Regulations 2025.
We discussed it before.
An exercise that was conducted simultaneously across 17 counties. In Nairobi, the commission held the public participation at the KICC, where they received both oral and written memoranda on the proposed regulations.
I expected to adhere to the established.
Those who appeared before the commission questioning the transparency in the recruitment of the 10,000 recruits.
Kwa sababu hata kama ni online, wewe utaenda kwa cyber, ukiapply hiyo kitu itaenda kwa mkono ya mkubwa huko. Mkubwa wa mtoto yake akiapply atapata link. Ama hata hawa askari, unaona askari mdogo akiapply hapati link mtoto yake. Askari mkubwa akiapply atapata link. Kwa hivyo nikiongea kwa niaba ya wananchi wengi, wananchi wamekataa mambo ya online.
If you change directly, if you take the direct change over to the system recruitment, that will be a monster that you're creating. And I pray that it does not bite you, the commission. So, if you must insist on taking the system shortlisting, kindly, let there be a manual or parallel manual way for people to apply. Please, because this is something I'm predicting, we'll get a blow like the one commission got below the belt on that 10th October, first floor, Milliman Law Court, room number 3.
Those in the service questioned the criteria used in hiring graduate officers at a higher rank at the expense of thousands of qualified graduates already within the service.
Now you are recruiting a fresh graduate from university who has just completed a degree in animal husbandry. This is the only place where I've heard there is no experience required. And when you are recruiting graduates, you recruit about 800. In the service, we have more than 2,000 graduates. What about them? Is that not violation? Is that not segregation? what do we call it?
Majority of officers pushing for streamlining of the recruitment process, which they say could face credibility crisis.
An iron sharpen an iron. You cannot have somebody who has not done a paramilitary work going and recruiting somebody who will be doing a paramilitary.
Regarding affirmative action, that is included in the system. And it's part of the data-driven decision-making I am talking about. If we receive applications from a certain area and most of them don't meet the minimum threshold that is a D+, we go lower.
They've assured us that if one has failed the medical test at the training ground, the replacement will be done in the same constituency.
Now, billed as transformative guidelines to be deployed in the next recruitment, the draft guideline seems to be a hurdle within the police service, even as it heads to the parliament for consideration. Ode Francis, Citizen TV, Nairobi.
Okay, mambo ni kama hayo. Polisi hapo wakipeana maoni in the public participation process. Now, clearly here we have a tussle between those who want manual system and those who are forging for online transaction. Now, both sides have their valid argument, but like every other processes within any sector, the transition is supposed to be well managed. One of the things that has made it very difficult to get this country move in one direction in securing what is in the public good is this aspect of replacing one system with another without proper management of the transition process. And we have seen this into play over and over. Right now, there is the transition from NHF, the National Insurance Health Fund, and then there is now the Social Health Authority. Now, the way this transition took place is still problematic simply because it wasn't well managed. It wasn't well managed. It was sudden. It was hurried, and the problems never end. Now, if we have been applying manually to be recruited in the police force, and there has been everything manual, we cannot just switch from manual to online without a transition gap. There must be a bridge between the old and the new. You don't just jump from the old into the new. There must be a bridge in between here. And this bridge means if we have been doing manually and we want to go digital, then there has to be that transitioning that is smooth. And transitioning that is smooth means in the first recruitment, we now allow both manual and online. And then we give a period. We say now, in the next year recruitment, we will have all transited from manual and everything will be online. Now, this gives room to ensure that by the time we get to that place where everything is online, one will have majority of the people who are applying can access the internet and they can access online transacting. They have the knowledge, the capacity to do the same. It is true that there are parts of this country where you get to and you can't even connect to your phone. It is a reality. There are places where you are cut from even Google doesn't know the place. Now, if we still have got parts of the country that have not been well covered with the internet, are not well covered with the online transactions, how do you expect now everybody from that particular constituency of that particular part of the country to apply online when there is no online service in their place. And so the government seems to be good at making suggestions that are bound to fail or to create a crisis. We seem to be a country that thrives in crisis. And if we don't have a crisis, we create one. And in the process of creating one crisis, we end up collapsing what is good. And it goes without saying that there are those who want a crisis so that they can capitalize on the crisis to bring in their people. Yes, and this, I don't know if I'll be able to access that video by the Trans Nzoia governor Natembeya. He said something about police recruitment and the process that their allocations, those quotas that are given and distributed countrywide, but there are specific, slots that are reserved for different special people in high office. And so, like if Trans Nzoia is supposed to give, for example, they are recruiting 10,000 constables in the country, that's supposed to be distributed equally countrywide, meaning that 10,000 need to be divided among the are they 290 constituencies, and those 290 constituencies will have now to recruit a specific number of people so that the police is not a one-sided or one region or one wherever community dominated. Now, if we are going to split this 10,000 into the 290 constituencies, there are now that reservation. We say now, let's say each constituency is going to get, let's say 100, okay? Or 20 people, let's say 20 police officers or 20 recruitees from each constituency. Now, Natembeya says that there are those numbers that are cut down from specific constituencies. So like if Makadara constituency is supposed to give 20 people, they are given a slot of 5 people to be recruited officially through the process. But these 15, those slots for 15 are reserved for Mkubwa, the big man, who is going to bring his cousin, his relative, and his friends. And they get direct into the training without being recruited, vetted, or anything. And Natembeya was, making a joke of it, says there is a specific height that you must attain to in order to qualify to be in the police. But he says when it comes to the passing out, the day when the police are graduating, you find very short people graduating as police officers. And so Natembeya was asking, when did these people get picked and who approved they are being picked if their height is not sufficient for the height required for police recruitment? And he says it goes without saying that these big people, they are the ones who bring in this cousins, friends, and relatives without following due process. And so what I'm saying is that the crisis that is being anticipated with the police recruitment could just be serving that very purpose. And now that the eyes are on the recruitment process and corruption is no longer, it's no longer safe to be openly, practiced or exercised. So we reserve those seats and then we sell them. We can all remember that the current Kenya Kwanza administration has used the TSC hiring of teachers to be turned into a political tool, whereas the pro-government members of parliament are given letters of admission to be hired as a teacher by the Teacher Service Commission. And they'll go around and they'll be distributing them in funerals. They'll be distributing them into political rallies and giving to the people they refer. And so we have a Teacher Service Commission that is in charge of the teaching fraternity, that is supposed to ensure that only qualified people, and those qualified people are also supposed to be hired based on when they trained and their age bracket, so that they are able to work before they reach retirement age. And so people graduated today, and then those who graduated 2 years ago who are yet to be hired, it is not proper, according to the TSC, that you hire somebody who graduated yesterday when there is a list of accrued graduates who have been waiting to be hired. And so it's supposed to be systematic. How will it be systematic if one person and one commission is not presiding over? That those letters are given to members of parliament, and members of parliament are distributing them anyhow. So what happens? You get somebody who graduated yesterday begins to be a hired TSC teacher, and the one who graduated 5 years ago is still tamacking, hoping and waiting, applying and begging to be hired. And so this confusion, in my opinion, it is just a decoy. It's a game that is being played to enhance and, of course, facilitate corruption. And so the 15 will be sold. We remember what Reverend Lala said in the last, I think 2 days ago in the show, of somebody, wanting to sell his farm, his land, so that he can bribe an official to help his son be recruited in the army. And so what I'm talking about is not far from here. It is not an exaggeration. It's a reality. And so there are slots that are left for the big people, and the big people are selling them off to innocent Kenyans who would just wish their sons and their daughters would be part of the public serving team. The more things change, the more they remain the same. Ladies and gentlemen, this is our country. We must all begin to raise red flags where we see one. And so without necessarily bad-mouthing anybody or trying to paint anybody in bad light, the crises we create in this country are man-made. They are not mistakes. They are deliberate moves that are meant to enhance, propagate, and facilitate corruption. Very sad, but true. And so when you hear Murkomen saying nobody should say anything against the government if he's serving in the government, you know that he's not saying that because there is confusion in the government. He's saying that because there are specific people who are supposed to eat using government, and nobody should disturb them while they are eating using the government. Sad, but true. Now, you're taking a short break. When we'll be back, we'll be still continuing with that police recruitment process and the changes being wherever proposed by the wherever had been proposed by a committee in parliament on the restructuring of who is in charge of what in the police force. And there seems to be no willingness to implement that. We will be revisiting that shortly. In the meantime, while we're on the break, please, karibisha mtu, kumbusha mtu show iko on na tunaendelea kuchambua siasa zetu. Tunaitwa Sound Candid Talk. Tuko hapa kuweka mambo bayana. We make sense of our politics as we ease life for the masses. We'll be back shortly. Keep it right here.
At Sound Candid Talk, we provide live UHD broadcasting for church services, talk shows and podcasts, weddings, live bands, products and services launches, webinars and trainings, Zoom meetings, conferences, seminars, exhibitions, and virtual concerts. Tunazunguka kote kote mchana kutwa kukuletea taarifa na matokeo ya habari kutoka pembe zote za ulimwengu. Jioni tunaweka mduara wa kujadili taarifa zizo hizo kwa mapana na marefu. Ungana nasi kila siku ya wiki kwenye matukio ya siku saa 2 jioni kwenye Sound Candid Talk. Matukio ya siku, makao makuu ya habari kuu ya siku.
You've dreamed about the perfect wedding, the dress, the vows, the happily ever after. But let's ask the most important question. Before you say I do, are you truly ready for the lifelong commitment that comes after the honeymoon period fades? Bernard Ngozzi's groundbreaking ebook, Are You Marriage Ready?, is the ultimate guide to building a successful, lasting marriage. This isn't just another relationship book, it's a heart-to-heart conversation that prepares you for one of life's biggest decisions, getting married. Are you choosing love or just infatuation? Are you building a marriage or just planning a wedding day?
Reading this book was a game changer. I realized I wasn't as ready as I thought, but now I'm on the right path.
Don't wait until it's too late. Invest in your future. Download Are You Marriage Ready today. Link in the description below. Your future spouse deserves the best. Are you ready?
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for staying tuned to Sound Candid Talk. We trust you are well wherever you are. Please let us know where you're watching from and your sentiments on these issues that we are addressing. Let's listen out to the proposition by the Parliament on the police service and the distribution of roles that is now being a bone of contention between different forces. Why is this the case? Is this still corruption at play, or what is cooking? Listen to this.
A simmering dispute has erupted between Kenya's National Police Service Commission and the National Police Service over who holds the rightful authority to manage police salaries and officer registration. The tug of war has drawn in the Ministry of Interior, with Cabinet Secretary Kipchumba Murkomen stepping in to mediate and restore order between the two institutions. As Ode Francis reports, the CS has convened a meeting Wednesday to mediate the crisis, which threatens to paralyze the next recruitment process.
IG and the accounting officer of National Police Service, we want you, especially the accounting officer, to hand over all the HR function, especially the payroll. You hand over, you don't give.
It is now 2 weeks since the Public Accounts Committee of the National Assembly resolved that the National Police Service Commission takes over all the human resource functions from the National Police Service, including the payroll management system. But the handover of the payroll management system is yet to happen, as the Interior Inspector General of Police declined to relinquish the mandate.
The mandate of the Commission.
The mounting internal tensions between the two parties now threatening to undermine the operation of the police service, in what appears to be growing misunderstanding between the Commission and the Office of the IG. The Commission, in a letter copied to the Auditor General, the National Treasury and Clerk of the National Assembly, has declared withdrawal of all instruments of delegation on all delegated instruments with immediate effect, a move that has caught the ear of the Interior Cabinet Secretary Kipchumba Murkomen, who has now convened an urgent meeting.
And to start with, I have a meeting tomorrow with the Commission and the IG, and then we will work together until we find a solution. This is a very sensitive sector. We do not intend intend to see any wrangles.
Murkomen's remarks come in the wake of growing concerns among the service officers who fear that the continued escalation in the wrangles would jeopardize the independence and delivery of service by police officers.
Ni nini hii commission imeona IG amekosea? After all these years, incorporate commission kwa recruitment, simuambia hii watu IG amefanya makosa gani mpaka mumeona incorporate watu wenu?
Security experts say the continued power struggle could redefine administrative structure of police operations in Kenya, impacting not just salaries, recruitment, and security operations, but broader security governance, and hope that it resolved immediately to forestall the looming crisis. Ode Francis, Citizen TV.
Okay, there you have it. The tussle within the police force on who will be in charge of the kitty. Public Service wherever Accounts Committee in Parliament says it should be restructured. The decision had been arrived at, but the implementation of the same is being resisted. And there is mounting up pressure to keep things the way they have been. Why are we introducing changes right now? And where you see resistance, it means there is some structured, I would say, corruption syndicate that doesn't want to be disturbed and doesn't want to be adjusted. In this country, we have had a history of ghost workers. These ghost workers are important people within the government who draw salaries in the name of different workers in different sectors who don't exist. And so when it comes to salaries and who is in charge of paying salaries, it's a very sensitive place. Very sensitive place in this country. And unfortunately, it's not a fight for justice, not a fight for ensuring that there's integrity and there is a commitment to serving the public good. It's a fight to preserve corruption, protect corruption, and ensure that it thrives. It's very, very heartbreaking that we fight to preserve evil. We fight to protect evil, other than fighting the evil and ensure that there is public good and everything is done in the public interest. Now, this is shaking the police service to an extent that now there is realignment. And it's a whole combination of the changes proposed by the Public Accounts Committee, as well as the proposed amendments to see to it that the recruitment is not done manually. Since being done manually, it results into untold corruption, which in my opinion is still a fallacy. Corruption will work anywhere, either online or otherwise. But all in all, let's listen out to responses by the police officers as they rally behind their boss and want their boss to continue being in charge of recruitment as it has been, and not the changes that are being introduced. I want you to listen and be able to read through. Probably you may be able to see what you are not seeing, hear what you are not hearing, understand what we are not understanding, and help us make sense of the same. Let's listen out to this, and then we will be back shortly.
Well, police officers have defended the Inspector General of Police's role in police recruitment following the release of a new draft by the National Police Service Commission that strips him of key powers. The commission, currently amending recruitment and appointment regulations, says its changes are based on a 2020 court ruling that nullified an entire recruitment exercise due to irregularities and illegal delegation of authority. Well, the draft comes after years of corruption allegations that have dogged police recruitment, with public participation forums held across 17 regions. NTV's Laban Shaban has more.
At the Kenyatta International Convention Center in Nairobi, police officers attending the Public Participation Forum on the draft Recruitment and Appointment Regulations of 2025 voiced dissatisfaction of an amendment by the National Police Service Commission that stripped off the Inspector General of Police key recruitment powers granted under the 2015 regulations.
Just delegate his job to the Inspector General, to delegate to these officers. They know exactly the kind of person they will want.
So it will not be delegating, but it will actually be doing as per its mandate.
Allow the iron to sharpen the iron. We are not going to do this work as if we are doing an office work. That is why we have allowed the commission, or even the commission has allowed the commission, to recruit the civilian personnel and assist us in typing, clerical work.
In the new draft regulations, the composition of the National Police Recruitment Technical Committee includes 6 officers appointed by the Commission, heads of planning, legal services, ICT, administration, recruitment, who also serves as secretary, and any other officer the Commission deems necessary. From the National Police Service, 4 officers are part of the committee: the officer in charge of personnel and the heads of the Kenya Police Service, Administration Police Service, and General Service Unit training colleges.
So the technical committee, the composition should be especially police officers who are in that profession, who feel the heat.
In the 2015 Recruitment and Appointment Regulations, the Inspector General of Police had several delegated powers, including coordinating recruitment activities, supervising recruitment procedures, approving recruitment plans and timelines. The regulations gave the IG significant operational control over recruitment, with the NPSC providing oversight. The National Police Service Commission is holding public participation forums in 17 regions across the country ahead of September's police recruitment, the first in 3 years. NPSC is undertaking the process also to increase the number of women officers, who are currently at 15% compared to men at 85%. The National Police Service is pushing for online recruitment process despite serious internet connectivity in marginalized areas and public trust concerns. Laban Shaban, NTV, Nairobi.
There you have it, Kenya and its signs, wonders, and miracles. All manner of fighting over the obvious and, of course, safeguarding their place that probably they thrive. And this confusion, it's all born out of our choices to ensure that particular lucrative processes are never effective. It's part of our history or government operatives. The aspect of making, a department or a sector in the government and ensuring that that sector is not effective seems to be our speciality in this country. And any form of streamlining and ensuring that that effectiveness is achieved is fought tooth and nail. And so, like I said, we cannot replace the old with the new without room for transition. Removing the IG completely from the process, and you're recruiting his workers. You're recruiting the people who are supposed to go and work under him. What are you expecting? Okay, he brought people, he doesn't know where they came from in terms of how they were recruited, how the conclusion was made. Something is not adding up here. So for both those resisting and those supporting, something fishy is cooking. And as usual, it must be geared towards making the operatives not effective enough and giving us competent police officers, competent people to join the police service. The corruption and the mismanagement of these particular services is heartbreaking. It is annoying, to say the least. And how long this is going to go on, only God knows. But in my opinion, the earlier we stop, the better. The earlier we stop, the better. The human interference and, the frustration of constitutional provision within our different service sectors is enormous. It's enormous that we subject ourselves to an election. We still don't want the election outcome. We want to appear to be functioning within the constitution, but we still don't want the constitution to have an upper hand. We want to somehow get in there and turn things in our favor, even when that is not the way things should be. And so as a people, we better call ourselves to a conference and accept that certain processes should be led to function within the framework of the law so that they can give us competent people that are going to be effective in serving Kenyans. Kenyans deserve the best. Kenyans deserve, to be served by competent people. This aspect of securing and ensuring that mediocrity thrives when it comes to public service, and then you want the best when it comes to serving so-called political leaders and otherwise leaders, it's a mess. It's from, of course, our colonial background, where it's seen that the masses don't deserve anything excellent, that the masses don't deserve anything but the leftovers. That attitude and that mindset need to be done away with. That when it comes to recruiting and securing people in the police, they should be for the best interest of the masses. And that should be, we want to give the best because they're going to serve our people. They're going to serve, the interests of our people. But this recruiting anything and everything, and of course interfering with the recruitment so that you ensure that your cousins, your relatives, your uncles are the ones in the police force. And when they are there to serve your tribal, your regional, or your personal interest. It's a mess. This is how we are messing the country. This is how we are putting the country at, at risk with everything. Something needs to happen to this country where we will have to let the constitution work. We have to let the aspect of Kenya being Kenya to be let to be Kenya. This, bending the country and twisting the country and turning it into a personal property, turning it into a regional or tribal property, that needs to end. We are 60 plus years of independence. For heaven's sake, how long are we going to remain toddlers? Forever? No. So by now, nobody should be interfering with police recruitment. Nobody should be interfering with teachers' recruitment. Nobody should be. This system should have been led to be automated, whereby we know that at a certain period we are doing this recruitment, and this is the process, and this is how the process is going to work. But the games we play with in the name of, ensuring that the majority in the police should be coming from this region. The majority of the police needs to be, for example, right now, there is an imminent general election that is very critical that is coming. So you will notice that the police recruitment needs to be serving a particular interest in anticipation of when the elections are called. We should have the majority of the people in the police coming from our region so that they can defend our presidents. They can defend our man in power. No, I'm not saying this is what's happening, but it has happened before, and it is in the public domain. And so you will see numerous pass-outs, parades, okay, in anticipation that will have a sufficient number of police officers who will be serving the interest of maybe the incumbent, so that in case he loses the elections, he can take power by force, and he will have the police force to defend him, or the army to defend him, or things like that. Now, this ought not to be the case. We ought to move away from this and let systems work freely without personal or individual interference. And so all this tussle on who should be in charge of the payroll of the police, who should be in charge of the recruitment, how the recruitment should now involve civilians and other stakeholders who are not necessarily police officers. It's all a game. It's all, a preparation for ensuring that there's a certain number of recruitees that are supposed to be achieved by a particular community or a particular interested party, a particular interested sector is achieved. And to me, that's evil. That's bad. That's bad. We need a country that belongs to Kenyans, not a country that belongs to individuals who wants to manipulate the rest of Kenyans into believing that they have no place in this country other than to be seen and not to be heard. And therefore, I want to conclude there by saying, let's us allow the constitution to work. Let's allow systems to work. Let's stop manipulating the constitution, manipulating the law, and letting the law serve the interests of individuals at the expense of the country and the expense of the respect and the commitment to the rule of law. So from the police service to teacher service commission and other commissions, allow the law to work. These evil people who sit up there to go, who wants to interfere with every system and want to turn, the police force into their, errand boys and things like that. That's not how to build a country. That's not how to make the country excel. And I'm saying this because we have mark-timed here for too long. We have gone around this mountain for too long. We can't continue like this. So any form of political interference, political sentiments, I was having a debate with young people the other day, and I was proposing that this country needs to come to a place where we'll need to sit and draw it afresh. The way this country has been demarcated and, those boundaries drawn, it has always been political, not economical, not sensible. It has always been political. And in the process, we have come up with things that are not helping the development of the country. We have some counties that don't make sense. All of them were placed there because of political reasons. And so we need to come to that place where we'll need to allow the country to be drawn in such a way that it will serve the interests of the country and not the political power of the day or the political party of the day. Like, how did we come up with 290 constituencies? And some of these constituencies, I mean, just look at the map. Go to the, what is it called, the IBC, and download the map of political, wherever, the 290 constituencies. You'll be shocked on how many contour lines. There is something we did in school called, what's it called, doodling, taking the pen for a write, okay? You will see a constituency that looks like wherever an interstyle, okay, has been twisted, turned, cut, and it doesn't make any sense whatsoever. But that's called that the boundaries have been drawn for particular constituencies. Certain constituencies, especially in Rift Valley, they are dangerously drawn. That a constituency starts right in the what is called in the CBD, okay, of Eldoret. Then it goes around, and then it meanders, then it turns like a river. All of it, that certain communities should be not allowed to have sufficient numbers to have a member of parliament. Why? They are considered to be foreigners. They are not indigenous. That mindset needs to be done away with. And so, like I'm saying, we must come to a place where we let this country be what it's supposed to be. And the starting point is to stop this unnecessary interference with processes that are supposed to be public, that are supposed to be transparent, that are supposed to serve the people. So the big people, you guys that are sitting up there and you want to recruit the police, you want to recruit the army, you want to recruit the teachers, you want to recruit. Why in the first place do we have National Police Commission? Why in the first place do we have TSA, Teacher Service Commission? Why do we put up these commissions when we as individuals want to do the job in the first place? And so every form of interference to any of these processes should be cut off completely. Should be cut off completely. You can all remember how when Matiang'i was CS for education, and how he fought so hard to ensure that exams are exams and not a means of cashing on, okay? He came in forcefully and broke through the cartels that had made examination to be a great cash cow. All of you can remember that, okay? That streamlining that process and ensuring that exams are protected and exams are determining how the students have schooled and how students have capacity to perform, and not this leaking of exams or buying of exams and turning our education to be a joke altogether. Now, it showed clearly that there are people who had invested in examination and examination cheating. It was a continuous guaranteed cash cow that anytime there will be national exam, there are people will be smiling in the bank. There are schools that had already drawn out whatever budget for the same, a budget for buying exam, serving the exam to the students, and ensuring that they are top schools, so-called top schools. To break into that cartel and ensure that exams are credible and exams are done to prove and show how students have, learned, it was not a walk in the park. And that is what I'm saying. Interference is everywhere. They want to interfere with education. Not they want, they have established cartels to interfere with education, cartels to interfere with police recruitment, cartels to interfere with the army recruitment. And so when we're talking about fighting corruption, corruption cannot fight corruption. The big people who are looking for slots to bring their cousins, their relatives, their uncles into the police through the back door are the problem. It is not even on the recruitment field. The recruitment field and the recruiting officers are just agents. The rest of the big boys up there are the ones causing problems in this country. And that's where the blame should be placed. The Murkomens, the IG, the deputy IG, the CSS, the so-called county commissioners. Those big people up there are the problem on why the recruitment process of the police cannot be clean. And they are looking for how to make it easy and be able to sell those slots to the highest bidder. A very sad but a reality in our country. And so let's come to terms with what must be done. In conclusion, as we begin to wrap up, I want to thank every one of you for continuing to follow Sound Candy Talk. But the last story is about Natembeya and Eugene Wamalwa in their tussle and fight over the DAP-K party. Now, this typically is the, I would say, framework of the Luya politics. Hey, let's listen to this, then I'll give my views before we call it a day. Thank you.
Now tonight, the cracks in the Democratic Action Party of Kenya, that's DAP-K, are getting wider, with second deputy party leader Ayub Savula joining renegade Trans Nzoia Governor George Natembeya in a separate meeting shortly after a meeting chaired by Eugene Wamalwa.
Well, Natembeya, who is seeking to wrestle the party from Wamalwa, says that the party boss and NEC officials allied to him are only postponing the inevitable as time to take over the party has come. As NTV's Ibrahim Karanja now reports.
Trans Nzoia Governor George Natembeya, who is the DAP-K's third deputy party leader, walked off the podium, leaving his boss Eugene Wamalwa to field questions from journalists. Evidence of vote was being concealed throughout the press conference. Tuesday's NEC meeting only focused on appointing members to the party's internal dispute resolution committee.
We are up to the task. We shall handle the situation, and the party will remain united as we move forward.
But as you can see, we've come out of this very, very much united, and you don't see anyone with any bruise here. There was no fight here today. Ours is a democratic party. We have very strong internal democracy.
And the deputy party leaders Wafula Wamunyinyi, George Natembeya and Ayub Savula.
DAP ni chama cha members, chama cha wananchi, na kila mtu anapewa fair chance.
We've seen white smoke. There is no leadership wrangle in DAP. It's a strong party open to democracy.
All appeared to follow a similar script. That all was well within the party. Wamalwa even attempting to blame President William Ruto for the troubles.
Bwana William Ruto, if you think you are going to infiltrate this party the way you did the Jubilee Party of Uhuru Kenyatta, we want to tell you that we have our eyes open. We will not allow you to kill democratic parties such as ours or to undermine multi-party democracy.
However, soon after, more evidence of a bitter fallout came out again. Natembeya, flanked by his fellow deputy party leader Ayub Savula and several members of the NEC who were in the earlier press conference, called for another presser away from the party headquarters. Here, they rubbished all the communique that came from the earlier presser in which they were in as lip service, aimed at deflecting attention from what was really discussed in the NEC meeting.
What transpired in that meeting and what was being said there are completely different things. Ilikuwa ni mambo tofauti kabisa. Maana we were talking as a family to resolve the issues that are bedeviling the party. Now this is the issue from within the party. But when you go out there and you are deflecting, ni kama shida satoka mahali pengine, it means you are just paying lip service to the problems ambazo zinasumbua. Sisi tumesema hatawe, tumekataa. Maswala ambayo kwa ndani ya nyumba pale lazima tungangane nazo na lazima tu resolve.
Here, Savula making it clear which side of the warring factions he belongs to.
We are fellow deputies. Yeah. Munyinyi, I don't know where he has gone. And you know, he's a governor. I'm a deputy governor. Wamunyi is not a deputy governor. I'm where I belong.
For Natembeya, the allegation that he was President Ruto's mole to wreck the party from within was answered.
And in the fullness of time, Wakenya watajua ni nani kweli kweli yako kupanda wapinzani ama nani anataka kupiga kelele ila yetu aingie kwa serikali.
For now, the disquiet in the party may persist for the next 1 month as the 8-member Internal Dispute Resolution Committee, which was appointed on Tuesday, sits to hear and resolve the issues. That includes separate petitions, one calling for the ouster of Wamalwa and the other seeking Natembeya's expulsion. The two have said they will abide by the decisions of the IDRC. Ibrahim Karanja, NTV.
Okay, there you have it. The quarrels, the tussle, the fights within the DAP-K party. It is interesting that we always live to our history repeating itself. I will help you recap the history of the DAP-K party. It is what is it called? A principle we teach in leadership is that what you make happen for others, God makes happen for you. So the DAP party is a great grandchild of Ford. Okay. Yes, it's a great grandchild of Ford, meaning that we had the Forum of Restoration of Democracy that was launched and started by Kinamasinde Muliro, Jaramogi Oginga Odinga, and the people for the struggle, Martin Shikuku, Kitobi Manyara, I believe so. And when that was picking up, I think also Matiba was in it. Every person that had a dissenting voice against the Moi regime were part and parcel of the Ford. The first rally at Kamkunji, that was in the 90s, early 90s. It was a fierce battle against the structured, well-built KANU administration, and then having reigned as a single political party when there was a window for multi-party democracy. Ford was a force to reckon with. But what happened? Since it was too strong, there was a need to break it up so that it can give Moi an opportunity for being elected. That is the 92 elections. So what happened? There came up an aspect of wrangles within the Ford party, whereby we had the Jaramogi Oginga Odinga faction and then Matiba faction, and which resulted into what? The Secretary General of the of the Ford party, who was Martin Shikuku, being accused for going to State House and eating chicken for lunch. And that resulted into the breakup of the two of that strong opposition political party called Forum for Restoration of Democracy, Ford, into Ford Kenya and Ford Asili. Okay, so Ford Asili, which was now left for Matiba and Martin Shikuku and that part. Then the Ford Kenya, that was now a faction for Jaramogi and the people that believed in Jaramogi, that's Wamalwa Kijana and all that. I think then Nani had already passed away, Masinde Muliro. Now, I want to quickly recap. And so Ford Kenya is left with Jaramogi. Raila Odinga comes into effect, I think, after the demise of Jaramogi in 1994. And thereafter, there is now a tussle between Wamalwa Kijana and Raila Odinga on the aspect of the control of the Ford Kenya political party. And when it became eminent that Raila Odinga will not take over or inherit the political party that had been started and, of course, belonged to the father, he decided to walk away and go and build his own political party. That is NDP, which ended up merging or being a merger with KANU, come up with the new KANU towards the 97 general elections that also played, and Moi secured another term in office. So the 2 terms that Moi enjoyed, 92 and 97, was as a result of the division in the opposition. And so this wrangles. Raila walks away. He leaves Ford Kenya with Wamalwa Kijana. Wamalwa Kijana runs the party until his death in office as vice president. That is after the 2002 election, being deputy or vice president to Mwai Kibaki. And then thereafter, now Ford Kenya is left in the hands of Muskari Kombo. Now, I want you to follow that chronological order so that you can understand what's going on with DAP and why it has to happen, because it is how you lay the bed that you sleep on. What you sow is what you reap. The Bible says, don't be deceived. God is not mocked. Whatsoever man sows, the same he will reap. So Ford Kenya is left in the hands of Muskari Kombo after the demise of Wamalwa Kijana. And what happens? While Muskari Kombo was now the party leader of Ford Kenya, the tussle begins. And the tussle is between Muskari Kombo and Wetangula. So what happens? Wetangula snatches Ford Kenya from Muskari Kombo, and it becomes his political party. And while he is now the leader of Ford Kenya, is still the political leader of Ford Kenya, Eugene Wamalwa attempts to wrestle Ford Kenya from Wetangula. Okay? And so they fought until it became eminent that they will not be able to snatch the party. So what happened? They split the party into New Ford Kenya and Old Ford Kenya. So Wetangula remains with the Old Ford Kenya, and Eugene goes away with New Ford Kenya. And the New Ford Kenya is what metamorphosed or was changed into DAP Kenya, if you can remember. And that was towards the 2022 general election. So DAP comes in, and it is New Ford Kenya. I want you to understand that. How did New Ford Kenya come? New Ford Kenya is a breakaway of Ford Kenya, okay, where the tussle between Eugene Wamalwa and Wetangula results into the split of Ford Kenya into 2. And so just like Eugene Wamalwa wrestled Ford Kenya from Wetangula, the same thing he did, it has now followed him into DAP. And now we can see Savula there. We can see who is this? Natembeya, okay? And now claiming DAP. And probably, just like Muskari Kombo lost for the Kenya to Wetangula, there's a high probability that Eugene Wamalwa may just lose DAP to the Tawe movement led by George Natembeya. And so that is the brief history of how Ford Kenya has split in so many pieces, and it seems not to be coming to an end because of its genesis. and successive and clear transfer from one group to another. Now, this needs not to go without saying something about Luhya politics. The Luhya politics are not normal politics in terms of people rallying behind a political party or a political leader just for the sake of the same. If you don't, convince the Luhyas that you are a man for the job and you are a man enough to, stick out your neck and defend what is for the good of the country, you will not get the Luhya support. And also, Luhyas are not easily to be, pocketed. They are not easily to be ramped up into one basket. Even if you put us in one basket, we'll find a way of fighting among ourselves within that basket until everybody's voice is heard or everybody gets a piece of what is in that particular basket. And so the Luhya politics is strange and very different from I would say the Luo politics, very different from the Kikuyu politics. And so what you see happening between Savula, where Natembeya and Eugene is very normal within the Luhya setting. And that's how our politics is done. If you can't beat them, you don't join them. You break away and start your own. Well, I must end the show there, but interesting times indeed in our politics. And probably before I sign out, I want to talk about the current games that are being played. And there's a video to that effect. I'll be uploading it later on. I've gone at length to analyze what Gachagua is saying about Raila Odinga and the money and the government, and Rigathi Gachagua and the money and the government. What's the difference, and why is there the difference? But quickly, just before I sign out, don't allow yourself to ignore what should be because of political rhetorics. Remember, politicians, and congratulations to Harambee Stars and their performance at Kasarani. It's becoming a huge, pride for the Kenyan people on how the national team is performing in the CHAN. But I brought this in because I wanted to say that politicians are on the same team. Okay, they're on the same team and they are playing the same game. So as Kenyans, we should not mistake when a politician talks about one term and the other one talks about two terms and think that these are two opposite teams. They are not two opposite teams. They are same team wearing same uniform, but pretending to be fighting each other. Don't confuse yourself by falling for the rhetorics and fail to look critically into what is not being said, why it is not being said, and who is saying what, why. Because we get so much caught up into, like right now, everybody's talking about one term, two term. When you ask them what is one term, they don't want to explain. What is two term? They don't want to explain, because there is no automatic two term. It's no automatic second term in the Constitution. You serve the first term, and if you go for elections and win, it's when you get the second term. So the people who are saying two term, because it's automatic, they are unconstitutional. Those who are saying one term, you cannot make somebody go for one term without ensuring that they don't win the second term. So it's just a term that is being thrown around, And Kenyans are falling for it without keenly scrutinizing what is at play here. And so they want to group us into the group of 2 term and another group of 1 term. That's all they want. So wachukue wa Kenya gundi moja waweke kona moja, alafu wachukue wengine waweke kona ingine. Then wachezee hapa katikati. Ati sisi tuko 1 term, sisi tuko 2 term. There is no 1 term, there is no 2 term in the constitution. What is there is that you win an election, then you serve the term. If you succeed to finish the term, you must win an election to get in the 2nd term. So this aspect of us getting worked up and, getting, fight among ourselves in the name that we are 2 term, 1 term, and all that, forget it. Just commit yourself to the betterment of this country, insist on the rule of law, reject to be swayed around, and ensure that what should be is done. Thank you so much for being part of the great conversation on Sound Candid Talk. We encourage you to follow us, those of you on TikTok as well as Facebook, and then, of course, on YouTube, subscribe. Those of you on TikTok, on the link, the bio, there is a link to the YouTube channel where we encourage you to please click on the link, get to the YouTube channel, Sound Candid Talk Live, and subscribe. Turn on the notification bell so that anytime we are coming on. And of course, on YouTube, we do many other all the live wherever programs that are taking place from State House, from Parliament, from everywhere are streamed directly to our YouTube channel. And so there is more you get while you are a subscriber on YouTube than when you just follow us on TikTok. So there is a lot that we don't put on TikTok that goes on Facebook as well as on YouTube. So we encourage you, follow us on Facebook, Sound Candid Talk, as well as Sound Candid Talk Live on YouTube. Thank you so much. I look forward to meeting you again in the next program. Please keep it at Sound Candid Talk and let me know what you feel and think about the show and whether what we are saying here makes sense or it doesn't. I am excited to have had this 2 hours or so, or 1 hour, almost 2 hours with you as we break down our political rhetorics, making sense of our politics and easing life for the masses. Until next time, God bless you. Tukutane tutakapokutana.
Kutoka vijijini. Watu wa Mungu, Bwana Yesu asifiwe. Kipindi cha mahubiri kimerudi tena kwa kishindo kwenye Sound Candid Talk. Tunakufundisha, kukuelimisha na kukutia moyo kwenye Daily Bite. Mafundisho kamili ya Biblia kila siku kwenye runinga uipendayo ya Sound Candid Talk.
You've dreamed about the perfect wedding, the dress, the vows, the happily ever after, but let's ask the most important question. Before you say I do, are you truly ready for the lifelong commitment that comes after the honeymoon period fades? Bernard Ngozzi's groundbreaking ebook, Are You Marriage Ready?, is the ultimate guide to building a successful, lasting marriage. This isn't just another relationship book, it's a heart-to-heart conversation that prepares you for one of life's biggest decisions, getting married. Are you choosing love or just infatuation? Are you building a marriage or just planning a wedding day?
Reading this book was a game changer. I realized I wasn't as ready as I thought, but now I'm on the right path.
Don't wait until it's too late. Invest in your future. Download Are You Marriage Ready today. Link in the description below. Your future spouse deserves the best. Are you ready?